second lecture. Be fast.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone.
Yes, hi,
Hi,
Tusa.
everyone. Yes, it is Toussaint. Uh, okay, so it was just a suggestion. I was suggest something. Yes, for
Mm-hmm.
the lecture that we have just looking for
Mm.
the lecture. So it was so quick, but I understand that it is the way to, how can I say, that we can be in mood of examination, because the examination also it will be fast. Yeah. Okay.
Are you done? Twister? Twister, can you hear me? I request Umhozaria, I request Emil Fabrice Fabien to unmute yourself, please.
I was unmuted. Okay. So it was good for the last.
Wait me 1 minute to solve this issue for muting and unmuting. All right. Twister, you can unmute again yourself and raise up your query.
Okay, thank you.
Most
So
welcome.
I just saying that yes, I see the target was to be in the mood of examination, because the
Mm-hmm.
examination it will be so quick, and that is good. But it will be good also to think to see the way we can think about this. Is why we suggest that we can get the videos. Yes, when we are in the class, to be quick. There is no problem.
I said already, while we started this class, we are
Yeah.
automatically live on YouTube called Impashigi Heseti.
Uh,
So
this is
the
good.
video, the video
Okay.
will always remain on that YouTube channel for Fashigi Heseti, and you can go there and you can watch the class how it was.
Thank you very
Anytime.
much. Oh,
Most
thank you very
welcome.
much. Yeah. Yes. Now I'm satisfied.
All right. Is anyone has query? He can raise up his hand. Then I can give a mic. Is here Raki Dani? All right, Dani. I can see Dani is raising a hand back. Okay, you can now unmute, then speak up.
Hello?
Yes, Dani, I can hear you. Dani, please speak up. Dani, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have work. I was asking the hello?
He was asking what? Dani, I can't hear you. So let me move up to the others. Let's move up to the next lecturer. By the time just you have very nice connection, you will just again raise your hand up. I will give you a mic, then you will speak up. All right. So guys, let's go to the next today's lecture. And yeah, all right. Let me try to share today's lecture as well.
Who are you going to be? And if you'll notice, I'm not asking.
Sharing the things which is
Hi everyone, welcome to this video that we've created just for you exclusively, which is on the Infosys exam questions that were asked on the 28th this month. Now, this video would only have the discussion of the verbal ability portion of the questions that were discussed. So we just want to quickly take you through what were the sort of questions that came, what category do they belong to, and what are the answers to that question. So I've tried to not just show you the question, I've tried to show you the category that it falls in, and I've also of course discussed the answer, right? So without further delay, I'm directly jumping to the questions for your sake. So the first question is on sentence improvement, where you can see that there is a text given and acquired land to build your home. The next step is draw out an estimate of the cost of production, and it is prudent to entrust a well-established architect with the task of estimation as well as the construction work of your home. Now, something that I want you to notice is that these sentences are very, very long, right? And it takes the focus away from where we are supposed to actually put in our mind and heart. So when you see that sentences are so long, you need to break it down in different parts and evaluate them separately. Now, for us, the only concern that we have portion, which is the next step, is draw out an estimate of the cost of production. Options that we have. So we need to understand which is the correct. Just looking at the underlined portion and getting to the correct answer. Now, the first option says the next step is to draw up an estimate of the cost of production. The next step will be to draw up an estimate of cost of production. The next step is drawing up the estimated cost of production, construction, and the next step is to draw on an estimated cost of construction, right? Now, look at the sentence. Once you have acquired land to build your home, the next step, like the immediate next thing to do after acquiring the land, is what we're talking about. Now, in the given question, they have missed a preposition. The next step is draw, or is to draw out an estimate of cost of construction, right? So will be to draw up, we are not looking at something which is going to happen later. It's saying that this has happened, this is step one, and now this is step two. So will be to draw up is not one of our answer options. Is drawing up, we are not looking at continuous tense. The first half of the sentence or the second part of the sentence is not in continuous tense. And you do not, if you look at the last option, it says to draw on an estimated cost of construction, but we do not draw on, we always draw up and whatever estimate of the cost of construction. So by default, your correct answer option for this is answer option A, that once you have acquired the land to build your home, the next step is to draw up an estimate of cost of construction, and it is prudent to entrust a well-established architect with the task of estimation as well as the construction work of your home. Number two, again, this is also a sentence improvement question that you have. The causes of mild depression can be varied, and those who truly want to manage this condition will be well advised to begin by seeking the cause, the spark that lighted this unfortunate fire, and then systematically take steps to make sure that the spark is not lit. So this is talking about mild depression and people who experience mild depression. So it says that the causes of mild depression can be different, and for people who truly want to manage this condition, they want to handle their depression, what they need to do is they need to first understand the cause. They need to understand something that caused this depression to happen, and then systematically take steps to make sure that the spark is not lit, right? So once you've identified what is the cause, then you treat your cause. That's what it means. Now, our underlined portion is the spark that lighted this unfortunate fire. And we have 4 answer options available. The spark that lights this unfortunate fire, the unfortunate spark that lights this fire, the spark that unfortunately lighted this fire, and the sparks that lights this unfortunate fire, right? Now, if I look at option D, it says the sparks that lights. Now, this becomes grammatically incorrect, so it's ruled out as an option. It would have been spark that lights or sparks that light, whichever way. Spark that unfortunately lighted this fire. Again, the unfortunately lighted doesn't make perfect sense out here. the unfortunate spark that lights this fire. Now, unfortunate spark, we're not describing the spark out here. We're saying that the fire is unfortunate, right? So it remains, we are remaining with one option to consider, which is A. That is the spark that lights this unfortunate fire. Okay. Now, if you look at question 3, it's on sentence correction. So they've given you 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 as your options, and it's the same sentence which has been written in 4 different styles. We need to select which is the correct statement. What I want you to notice out here is that it doesn't mean just because the statements are in the sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4, answer option is A1, B2, C3, and D4, right? They've shuffled the answer options also. So you need to be very careful as to which sentence is correct, and not just which sentence is correct, it pertains to which answer option. So let's say if 4 is correct, then our correct answer option is C, right? So be very careful and wary of these facts. Now it says the written examination should take you the optimum part of an hour. So we're basically talking about the written examination. We're saying that this is going to take you whatever time, in the written exam. So the first one says it's going to take optimum part of your hour. The written examination must take you the maximum part of an hour. Now, statements like must, will happen certainly, these are very extreme statements. We do not look at ever selecting such answer types for our questions, because it may not take you the maximum part of an hour. So what is the question of must, right? So that's why 2 definitely gets ruled out as an answer option. The written examination should take you the better part of an hour, and the written examination should take you the largest part of an hour. Now again, largest part of an hour doesn't make sense. So that leaves us with 2 answer options to consider. One is optimum part of an hour, and the other is the better part of an hour. Generally, colloquially, we say that they should take you the better half of your time, something like that. So definitely our answer option that we're looking at is 3. Now 3 pertains to A. So our correct answer option is A, that the written examination should take you the better part of an hour, right? Now this question is on critical reasoning, right? And we had discussed this earlier, that we were predicting critical reasoning would come for these exams. So we have seen questions on critical reasoning also. The first one says booms and slumps are a part of economic cycles, just as inflation and deflation. So this is a passage which is on economics, and it's saying that booms and slumps, your ups and downs, are just part of economic cycles, just as inflation and deflation. The US has experienced an economic depression in the past and is now experiencing an economic boom. So in the past it has gone through that slump phase, a depression, and now it's going through the boom phase. There is a huge demand for software, and software projects are offshore to India, thus triggering off a huge demand for software specialists in India. So now they are saying that there is a huge demand for software. What are done with these software projects? They're offshore to India. As a result, what is happening? There is a huge demand for software specialists to India, because their work is outsourced or offshore to us. Now, which of the following is a false assumption? So what I want you to understand is they are saying that out of the 4 answer options, 3 of them will be correct assumptions. Only one assumption does not make sense. So which is that false assumption that we are looking at? All right. Now, the first says India has a huge pool of talent. That is a very valid assumption to make, because when these projects are being offshore, that is because there is a huge pool of software talent. Otherwise, in the first place, it wouldn't get offshored out here. Next, it says software specialists command high salaries in India. It then says the next stage in the drama of the US economy is a slump. Now, it says booms and slumps are a part of the economic cycles, just as inflation and deflation. So earlier there was a depression, now there is a boom. So of course, maybe again there will be a depression, because these are part of economic cycles, right? So this is also a valid assumption. India is favored offshoring destination. Why? Because of reasonable labor costs. Now that also to a certain extent makes sense, that because your labor costs are very cheap and they're good out here, which is why it's being outsourced here. Had this been an expensive option, people would not have considered it. And if you see option D, in a way contradicts with option B, reasonable labor costs and command high salaries. So they're both contradicting, but logically they cannot command high salaries, or they should not be commanding high salaries according to this particular passage, because that is why a lot of work is being offshored or outsourced to us. So an invalid assumption or a false assumption out here is option B. Okay. Fill in the blank, very easy. So you have a question and you have a blank, and you just have to fill the blank with whatever words or phrases or one single word, whatever that is. Paying attention to visual stimuli is important in the development of object recognition and dash memory, motor skills, and other key activities. Now, for these sort of questions, what you quickly need to do is try and substitute every part and see which one makes which one makes sense grammatically. Also, it leaves you with the same meaning, right? So paying attention to visual stimuli is important in the development of object recognition and is also needed for the development of memory, motor skills, and other key activities. Paying attention to visual stimuli is important in the development of object recognition and also needs to develop memory, motor skills, and other key activities. Paying attention to visual stimuli is important in the development of object recognition and is also needed towards the development in memory, motor skills, and other key activities. And lastly, paying attention to visual stimuli is important in the development of object recognition and is also needed to the developing of. Now out here, if you see, the game is with the prepositions they've used. So in the first one, it says for the development. Second one, it says needs to develop. Third one says towards the development. And the fourth one says to the developing of. So of course, the correct one is also needed for the development of. So paying attention to visual stimuli is important in the development of object recognition and is also needed for the development of memory, motor skills, and other key activities. What I want you to notice out here is if you see in the first half of the sentence, they have already used development of object recognition. So you know that here also for your and dash memory, it will be development of, it will not be development in or developing of, right? You get that cue or hint from here. Another critical reasoning question. Christopher Marlowe was Shakespeare's contemporary and wrote just as well, though not too well known. So we are talking about another one person that we haven't heard of very, very frequently, but he was as good as Shakespeare. One of his plays is The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus that was inspired by Goethe's Fortbach. Right, so it's saying that one of his plays, which is known as Tragical History of Dr. Faustus, and that was inspired by Goethe's, whatever, right, by some character. The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus is a reader's delight with exquisite phrases and expression. So they're talking, about the positive things about this particular novel, that it's a reader's delight and it has really very well nuanced phrases and expressions. However, comic relief in the play is ribald and vulgar and out of tune with the rest of the play. So the comic relief that he has used is not in tune, in line with the rest of the play. In fact, it is ribald and vulgar to a certain extent. This type of comic relief is uncharacteristic of Marlowe and is found nowhere in his other works like The Jew of Malta or Tamburlaine. Right, so it's saying that he generally does not write this type of comic relief, and that's why we have not observed it in any other piece of his work. Okay, now it says which of the following is a logical conclusion to the above. So whatever has been given above, we need to find out what is the logical conclusion to this particular question. Now it says the out of tune comic relief is now thought to be of whatever it's external interpolations. It has a theory which is related to some, like I said, external interpolation that they've mentioned. His rival printed the text with additions. He used cheap comic relief to popularize his work, and Marlowe was afflicted with a psychosomatic disease when he wrote Dr. Faustus. Now, all the other options, if you look at rival printed the text, we do not know. That's a very strong conclusion to make. He used cheap comic relief to popularize his work. Again, that's a very strong conclusion or strong opinion to make about someone. And he was afflicted with a psychosomatic disease. That also is a very strong opinion. So something that makes sense is that this out of tune comic relief is now thought to be of some external interpolation. So your correct answer is answer option A. Now, sentence improvement. When in a job, you feel that you are overburdened and underappreciated, that the demands of the job are increasing, and despite all your efforts, you're not able to manage the work and get blames for not performing, stress becoming chronic, and one loses interest in job and many other activities in life. Again, if you see, it's a long sentence, but our area of focus is despite all your efforts, you are not able to manage the work and get blames for not performing. Simple. First, it's saying, albeit all your efforts, you did not manage the work and are blamed for not performing. Despite all your efforts, you are not able to manage the work and get blamed for not performing. Despite all your efforts, you are not able to manage the work and be blamed for non-performance. In spite all your efforts, you are not able to manage the work and be blamed for non-performance. So firstly, remember, we are not talking about non-performance, we are talking about not performing. So these are a slightly different thing. And secondly, get blames was incorrect. That needs to be replaced by get blamed. So if you see an answer option that fits correctly, taking care of all these elements, it's going to be answer option B, that despite all your efforts, you're not able to manage work and you get blamed for not performing. Not performing once or twice is very different from being a non-performing person, right? So non-performance in general will not be something that we stick to. So C and D is anyway gone. All right. Here also you have to pick up the correct sentence. Insulation was fitted to prevent further heat loss from the building. We fitted insulation for the prevention of further loss of heat to the building. The insulation was fitted to preclude further heat loss to the building. Insulation was fitted to guard further heat loss from the building. Now, first thing that you need to understand is 2 and 3 are incorrect because you will not have prevention of further loss or further heat loss to the building, right? It's always from the building. So that removes your 2 and 3. Now, if you look at 4, it says was fitted to guard further heat loss. Now, how can you fit to guard further heat loss? That doesn't make sense. So your correct answer option is 1, that insulation was fitted to prevent further heat loss from the building. But your correct answer pertaining to that will be option B, because B contains 1. So your correct answer option is B. Right, sentence improvement. Post-liberalization and globalization, there's been a huge impetus to consumerism, which has also meant that the debt burden to the average individual has gone up. But the good news is that the structure for the debt is such that it may not be a bad thing at all. All right. And our focus area is the debt burden to the average individual has gone up. The first option says the average debt burden on the individual has gone over. Now that is anyway an incorrect option to consider. The debt burden for the average individual will go up, right? Whereas the statement out here is looking at has gone up. Okay, something that has already happened. There's been a huge impetus and due to that something has already happened. The debt burden on the average individual has gone up, right? And the debt burden on average individual will have gone up. So of course, by default, the correct answer is C, right? Because it perfectly summarizes the entire thing, that debt burden on the average. In the question was to the average individual, here we've changed it with on the average individual has gone up. Dash, I think you should sell your house and move into an apartment, right? And you have to fill in the blank with, again, 4 different answer options that they've given. On second thoughts, I think you should sell your house and move into an apartment. On the spur of the moment, like it means that, in that moment you have a quick decision thing. Once in a blue moon is something that happens once in a while. So once in a blue, while, I think you should sell your house and move into an apartment. That doesn't make sense. On the cards, I think you should sell your house and move into an apartment. That also doesn't make sense. So a correct answer option for this is A, that on second thoughts, I think you should sell your house and you should move into an apartment. Sentence correction again. I dread the thought, what would have happened if there had been an accident? I dread thinking, what would have happened if there had been an accident? I dread to think, what would have happened if there had been an accident? And I dread to be thinking, what would have happened if there is an accident? Now, there is an accident is out of question. I dread the thought, then it should have been off, right? So I dread the thought of what would have happened. So your first is also gone. Leaves us with 2 and 3. I dread thinking what would have happened, and I dread to think what would have happened if there had been an accident. Now we are not looking at using the continuous tense, right? We are looking at using just simple I dread to think what would have happened if there had been an accident. So your correct answer option is 3, but according to your answer key, it will be option D, D for Delhi. So this is a slightly bigger one, requires more focus. A boastful show-off is full of sound and fury and usually has nothing interesting to talk about. A boastful show-off is full of sound and fury and usually has anything interesting to talk about. A boastful show-off is full of sound and fury and usually had something interesting to talk about. A boastful show-off is full of sound and fury and usually had a few things interesting to talk about. Now, if you look at second option, and usually has anything interesting to talk about, that doesn't make sense. Had something interesting to talk about, had a few things interesting to talk about. So your best fit out here is first one, which is a boastful show-off is full of sound and fury and usually has nothing interesting to talk about. They just have nothing to offer in general. So your correct answer option is 1, and that pertains to answer option A. To repress anger is unhealthy, and yet to express it impulsively, as we so often do, may be giving momentary relief, but will inevitably carry negative consequences, right? So it's saying that to repress anger, like to let your anger be inside, it is very unhealthy, and yet to express it impulsively, as we do so often, it may give us momentary relief. It may make you feel nice because you've let go of, or you've said what you had to, but it will inevitably, like for sure, carry negative consequences for your future, right? Now we have again 4 answer options of the area of improvement. Will inevitably give momentary relief, though it will carry. May give momentary relief, but will inevitably carry. Should give momentary relief, but will inevitably be carrying. Can give momentary relief, but shall inevitably carry. Which is the correct answer option? It is answer option B. It is, which is the fact that it may give you, and that's what it's saying in the sentence also, may be giving. So it may give momentary relief, but will inevitably carry. Instead of giving, we say give, because we are keeping the entire thing in the same tense, right? So we do not want to keep it in the continuous tense. That was your questions for emphasis that have come in your previous exam. With that, I wish you good luck for your exams, and I hope this video has helped you to sort of understand how to solve the questions. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you soon.
Hello guys, I hope you enjoyed today's second lecture. He explains you much about the verbal reasoning, and she explains you much about the English and the reasoning, feeling of readings and sentences. I wish you all the best, like how she said, and it is then the time to say good night to you. If there is anyone who has question, he can just raise this, and then I will let him or her speak. Yes, Jado, what do you want to say? Jado, unmute yourself and speak up.
Hello.
Yes, Jado, we can hear you.
I have some ideas. Hello.
Yes, Jado,
So
speak
if
up.
possible, you
We
if
can
it's
hear
possible, you can give us some link with the
Efforts, you are
combined
not able
many
to manage
questions.
the work, further heat loss. Now, how can you fit to guard further
We,
heat loss?
I
That means I
already,
think you should sell your house and you should
uh,
move.
answered the same. I said that our class is on Rise on the YouTube channel called Mfashigihe Set.
Yeah.
Go there and you will see all classes we did before. All classes is there. Thank you.
So I was just want to ask if you see there's some question you have before
I can't hear you. Your connection is collapsing. I can't hear anything. Come again.
So I say like before you get 90 question, which is have 90 question and 90 minutes, which is show us how to come out. So if it's possible, can get another which is form like a demo, which can let us to work out.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Yes, Eme, you have 1 minute. Eme, speak very fast.
Hello to everyone.
Yes,
I
Eme.
want to ask which channel should we find this collection? Which name of a YouTube channel?
I put the name in the comment section.
Okay, thank you.
I hope there's yes, Prote. 1 minute.
Yes. Hello, everyone, once again.
Yes, Prote.
Yes, I have got some questions about the sentence collection. I was thinking about some tips or some keys to understand this kind of questions, because I have to think that to figure out what's wrong when what is the correct sentence is somehow complicated. So if someone can give us like what to
All
follow,
right.
what to not
All
follow,
right.
just like
Those tips, we will post those tips in the group, in WhatsApp group. Don't worry, we will do that. Thank you. We will do that. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining today's session. I wish you sleep utili. Good night. We shall meet again. Ciao, ciao.